Okay. Last, we have Ari Lighton, the founder of Swish. And Ari says as a young entrepreneur, he became an eBay power seller by reselling golf clubs. After today, I want to know where you got all these golf clubs from. But anyway, please.
Sure. Hey, so Swish is an app that makes it easy for sports fans to discover and share video highlights of sports games. If you think about the way sports games are summarized, the way in which the information is conveyed hasn't changed in over 100 years, despite fans using completely different interfaces. Here's a box score of a college basketball game in a newspaper in 1908. If you fast forward over 100 years to a mobile phone, the way in which yeah, I like the laughs, thanks. The information is conveyed the same way. It's still just numbers on a table. Fans love to talk about sports online, and Twitter does a great job of capturing much of this engagement, but the conversation's taken out of context. When you look at what people are saying, you don't know what plays they're referring to. A killer sports app doesn't exist because of no innovation on the product side. There's definitely demand for this. ESPN has the 20th ranked website overall in the US. They have the top sports app, but on an overall basis, it barely breaches 200. There's a huge disconnect here. There's 170 million sports fans in the US alone, and most of them are using TV to consume content, but over the past 3 years, there's been over 100% growth in the number of fans that are using mobile and social media as mediums to consume content. These mediums are becoming extremely important as we all know the TV landscape is changing. Sports content's extremely valuable. Disney owns a majority share in ESPN, which is valued at roughly $51 billion. They also own ABC Network, which in comparison is only worth $3 billion. If you look at the affiliate fees that are paid to the top 10 cable networks, over 77% of the fees are going to channels that are broadcasting sporting events. There are millions of videos uploaded by fans to social media and other video hosting sites. We take these videos and we contextualize them with the actual sports statistics that represent the plays in those videos. All engagement on our platform is tied back both to the content as well as the sports statistic. So when you open up our app and you want to check out what happened in a game, no longer do you look at a boring box score. We're completely reimagining the interface. What you see here is a chart that depicts the score of the game over time. You can tell that the Rockets, depicted in red, were winning in the beginning of the game, and the Spurs came back at the end to win. The interface is completely interactive. All highlights and plays are put in context of the whole game. You know everything about the plays. You know the players involved in the plays, and you know the score and time of game in which the play occurred. This game ended on a controversial non-foul call on Tim Duncan. You can watch the play in slow motion and decide for yourself what happened. You can like plays, comment on them, and when you share them, now the conversation's put in context around the content as well as the statistic. You can look for plays by certain players by tapping their name or searching for them. This experience doesn't exist anywhere else on the internet, on any platform, of just being able to find a player's plays that you want to see. We're extremely confident that by tying the actual videos to the sports statistics along with the engagement of those highlights, not only can we create incredible new experiences for fans, but this information is extremely valuable for sports writers. We're already partnering with some of the top sports sites in the nation to use our platform to find highlights and embed them in their blogs and articles. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ari. Avid, let's start with you, and then we'll just go straight down the line here.
Quick question. The content that well, first, thank you.
Thanks.
Secondly, the content that you get, who owns these rights? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so that's a great question, clearly. So the content that we're using in our app right now is hosted on social media sites as well as other content platforms, and we fully abide by the terms of service for displaying that content. So anyone is free to reuse that content displayed as long as they abide by the terms of service. You can think of it like what Google Images does. When you search for an image on Google, it displays that photograph, and Google doesn't have the rights to it, but since it's contextualized around the search, the rights aren't an issue in that case. But I have a follow-up.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the follow-up is that our long-term intention is really to partner with leagues to license content and to help them monetize ways in which fans are already uploading this video to the internet. We've had conversations with the NBA, and they're very open to exploring new business models and as well as finding avenues to engage with their fans.
Thank you. I think that's good. As you become more popular, if this becomes successful, that's one of the first things you want to do, because when it's small, it doesn't matter, but otherwise they will come after you.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, we just to follow up. Yeah, we don't want to
Troy
fight.
probably knows a lot about that. He can tell you all about it.
A lot about that.
Yeah, we don't want to fight them in any way. We view ourselves as kind of like what Spotify did to provide value to record labels and the music industry to just.
But Spotify paid for it.
Spotify did pay for it, and we plan on.
Pay.
Yeah, so yeah, we want to work with the leagues and with the networks. We're not trying to do anything against them. We want to partner with them.
Lindy.
So given how big the sports brands are and the prominence of current sports brands and channels and all of that, I'm curious about how you plan on breaking through with your new brand and a new app, and we've all seen, right, this crowded app store, versus going ahead and maybe partnering with, right, solve the problem for ESPN or one of the folks that already has the brand.
Yeah, so that's a great question as well. So our main growth channels are sports writers and websites that produce sports content, which already have a huge audience, and they write about certain plays that happen in the game, and there's no good way for them to be able to find the plays to write about, especially like right after the game happened. SB Nation is one, we're doing a pilot with them to use our platform to find those videos on demand. Our lag time is only a couple minutes. Once a play actually happens in the game, it'll be in our database like between 5 and 10 minutes after that happens. So the next growth channel we're going after is, it's just the virality of the product in itself. A lot of sports fans are already sharing and talking about sports on many different platforms, and it's very fragmented. We're creating a much better solution, a much easier and more fun way for them to do so.
And the data actually shows you that you guys are solving a real problem?
Can you?
I guess, is it a perceived problem, or do you think it's an actual problem?
We definitely believe it's an actual problem just by the inherent behavior of how sports fans are interacting online, right? Like I said, it's fragmented. Just to use basketball as an example, our NBA is extremely active and engaged for their fan base, and they talk about plays and they're embedding video clips of plays, and it's taken out of context, and the UX around it can really be improved. And you see the same thing on Twitter. Twitter is great for real time. If you're watching a game and you want to see what people are saying as the game's going on, that's put in context because you're watching it in real time. If you go back and you want to see what your favorite sports writer said even 10 minutes ago, you don't know what they're talking about. It's not in context. So we're trying to put context around both the content and the engagement.
All right, Bonin, last question or reaction?
Yeah, so I think there's something here. Now, don't take all of my advice because I invested personally in a sports company that no longer exists. So, but I also was an advisor for Bleacher Report. So I guess I'm 50-50. But we're also a big buyer of ESPN. And so my concern here in having launched like Bleacher Report is that I don't believe that just having the stats in context with video is really solving a true user need. I was really skeptical all the way until the very last thing that you said, which was also allowing those videos to be syndicated out to bloggers. Because I think what you're missing here is the context, the editorialization of what happened in that voice, if you really think about what Bleacher Report has done. So that would be my advice, is I would really go back and think, is this true, to Troy's point, is this really a true user need? And then I guess, I know you've had conversation with NBA, but have you thought about going to the broadcasters?
Yeah, we've thought about that. I mean, we're an extremely young company. We haven't approached them yet.
Oh, you haven't approached them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So can I say one more thing
please.
on top? Yeah, so there are a lot of experiences that we want to unlock that just don't exist today. Like, we want to create these incredible, innovative ways for sports fans to engage with content. Like Spotify was, you could create playlists and send them to the friends. We want to do the same thing with sports. If you're talking about your buddy about LeBron James's, dunks in the past couple weeks, now you can create that content and share that, with your followers. Or with your friends.
I really do believe that this space needs to be disrupted, and there's not a lot of context. It's not just here; it's all types of video that's shared. So I'm a firm believer this is the right space. I would just go back and really think about the customer experience.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're now going to move to the voting stage of today's event. Before we do that, I first want to thank again all of our entrepreneurs and our judges for another incredible event this year. I think we were all able to expand our minds by hearing about these incredible new innovations taking place across various sectors and industries. We heard about kind of a new take on customer service and a way for customers to communicate with companies, rethinking retirement security in the workplace, the crowdfunding of the muni markets, new forms of trying to decrease costs, avoidable costs within healthcare, and then also we heard about social media and a killer sports app. I think we even learned that taser drones are a real possibility. But with all that said, I'd like to specifically thank the Milken Institute team who are the reason for today's event. Nancy Ozeas, Wendy Wanderman, Stephen Lin, and then specifically our senior fellow, Lisa Mitchell, who are key to putting this together. Each of these folks believes very deeply in entrepreneurship, so I'd like to give them all a round of applause. Okay, so with that, we're going to have our judges start deliberating, and you all can do your deliberations quietly over there. Up on this screen, we're going to set up for our audience to vote. So if we can pull up the